Welcome to Closer to Venus. I'm Johnny Burke, and today's guest is Theresa Warnstaff. She is an intuitive channel and host of a show called The Soul Channel. She helps people connect with their intuition, connect with their souls, guides, and the universe. Today, we'll discuss methods of raising our consciousness that will include an example of live channeling. Theresa, welcome to the show.
Johnny, thank you for having me. It's good to be here. I'm excited to share some wisdom and connect with your audience.
Excellent. So how did you find yourself on this path as an intuitive and a channel?
I was born intuitive. So for me, it has been a back and forth journey with my intuition my whole life. When I was born, I could see, hear, feel, and know things that I just thought was normal. As I grew up, I learned that, in fact, this is much different than how other people view the world. And it would manifest in things like watching adults make decisions that were not in their highest and best interest, and I could feel it. Not that I had greater wisdom at the cognitive level, but I knew that that was not optimal for them. And if I would express, maybe you shouldn't do that, I was a kid. They didn't pay attention to me. They would just push me off to the side. Kid, get out of my way kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
Little things like when I learned to drive, I heard my guide say, you need to slow down. There's a cop ahead. Thank you very much, guide. I appreciate that.
So you had some of the clairs, maybe you have several, but you also just mentioned a guide, which I think is what we would refer to as a spirit guide, correct?
It is. It's a spirit guide, a soul connection. We have many guides that walk through us in our life. And so at that time, that was a guide who was there to help protect me because I systematically began to shut down information. And so that things would come through when I was in a situation where I could be in harm's way. And for me at that time, that was a guide that was designed specifically to keep me safe. Now, I can say that today in hindsight, but I certainly didn't understand it at the time.
When did you first notice your spirit guide or several of your spirit guides?
I think for me, it's always been a knowing. I've always known that I have these connections to multiple sources of wisdom that are not on planet, that are guides, souls, beings from other places. I've just known. And going back to as a kid growing up, what we most want is to fit in, right? And to be normal. So that was the impetus for me to slowly start to deny or shut down these gifts unless I was in harm's way when they would come through and correct me, help move me into a place where I was safe and secure. And that happened several times.
You had this knowing of many things. Could you, for instance, read someone's energy? Let's say it's an adult friend or a colleague of your parents where their intentions were really not the best. Or maybe it was the opposite. Maybe they were shining souls with beaming white light coming out of their crown, for all I know. Either way, were you able to sense that?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, something that helped keep me safe and helped keep me out of harm's way.
Now, did you at a young age think this was something like an angel or divine being or just someone there to protect you, to keep you from harm's way?
Yeah, this was a friend. This was an ally. For me, this was normal because I didn't know any different. I recognized that they were not of the earth. They were not human. And I did not have a religious upbringing, so there was not a lot of reference in my life to angelic beings. It was actually not until later in my life that I started to recognize, oh, these are angels. Those are the angels that the Bible and other scriptures refer to.
So did you ever at some point have contact with angels or just different types of entities altogether?
All of the above.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So angels, absolutely, especially when I'm channeling for a client who has a very strong angelic lineage, they will come in to share information with me specific for that client.
So when you say lineage, is that some kind of tether for that particular person to the angelic realm, or is that something that we all have?
Well, I don't think I'd use the word tether. That implies lack of choice. I think I would use lineage because my lineage is Ukrainian and British. Both of those have influence on who I am, but they don't dictate who I am. So all of the beings, all of the human beings on the planet have a lineage. They have a soul lineage that is specific to a planet or a set of beings. And angels are very familiar with the earth. So there are many who have angelic lineage. And additionally, angels come in because specialized, just like all the other types of beings, they're specialized. The felines are very good at protection and taking care of the tribe, and andromedans are very good in the sciences and constructing tools to meet a goal or to provide an end resource.
I think what you're referring to are either star seeds or star races, Andromedan and so forth, which is something I hear a lot. And I've heard people come on to the podcast and talk about angels as if, Uncle Fred just came over for dinner. Like it's really no big deal, even though it's obviously a huge deal. So with these star races who apparently seeded civilization eons ago, how are they different from the beings in the angelic realm, or are they very similar?
No, they're the same.
They're the same thing.
Yeah. For example, you have Sirius. Sirius has a set of beings that have deep roots in the earth plane. You have Palladians who also have deep connections into the earth plane. Angels have deep connections. Andromedans less so. They tend to work at the higher dimensions. So it's just like I explained before, it's a lineage and it's a set of beings that are specific to that lineage.
Have you identified what your connection or lineage is to any of the star races?
I have. So I have an Andromedan aspect of a parallel life, and she identifies as female and works closely with me in logically explaining how to do things like how to manifest or how to more deeply connect in with our intuition or how to bring in specific energy codes or transmissions. The reason that's important is because Earth has its unique energy system. We have grid lines in the Earth and we have layers of energy around the planet. And for us to introduce new levels of consciousness, it comes through the human. So we as humans bring in these new signatures, energy codes, and transmissions for the benefit of the planet, a specific species of animals, water, humans, anybody who could benefit from increasing or up-leveling their consciousness. So that's one. My primary source of channeling is called the 99, and it's a collective of wise beings who have come in just specifically for me to channel from multiple sources of wisdom so that when I'm in channel, I don't have to stop and switch channels to access specific types of wisdom.
It sounds like they're frequencies of some sort.
Beautiful. Yeah, well stated. Thank you.
Thanks. I can't take credit for it because I've heard it so many times because I'm trying to connect the dots. Like you just said, energy codes a moment ago. The last time I heard someone talk about that, she was talking about not only channeling galactic beings, but light language. And we recorded it. And it's pretty crazy because it was just this stream where she didn't hesitate one iota. And I thought, wow, that was incredible.
Isn't it beautiful? I have a friend in the UK who does the same. It astonishes me the beauty and the cadence and the feeling that comes through these random vowels and consonants. It's incredible.
It is. I haven't fully grasped it yet, but we have guest speakers come on and talk about star seeds, star races, our true origins, which is basically rewriting the history books. I can see the channeling comes in to connect with these beings, you have to have some kind of medium, not to really confuse people with the terms, because channeling and mediumship to me seems vaguely similar. Speaking of which, have you had instances or experiences with mediumship, or is that just a completely different kettle of fish?
I have, but they're more personal experiences as opposed to my skill set is in mediumship, which for clarity purposes, mediumship to me is connecting with loved ones who have passed over, or with animals who are here or passed over, or with a specific consciousness stream. I'm channeling, again, for clarity purposes, my definition is opening to infinite wisdom, whether the source is the universe directly, a team, a guide, your soul, but it's that locked in direct channel of information coming in. And it manifests very differently for everyone. I want to explain why I say everyone. I believe that most people can channel. And as we start to normalize spirituality and start to normalize intuition, we're going to see more and more channels coming forth.
I agree. And I've heard that dozens of times, that everyone can channel. And what mediums always tell me is everyone can do this, but you have to train. And there's things that you have to be careful of, safety protocols and so forth. So in your work with, I imagine you would call this a quantum realm, which takes in all the beings that you encounter. Have you ever had experiences of time shifts, like past lives or future lives or anything like that?
Yeah, it started when I was very young. When I was in elementary school, I remembered a past life, one of my favorites, where I was a witch and I lived in this beautiful cottage in the woods, and I treated the animals and I treated the villagers, and they helped me to have food and the things I needed. It was an incredibly peaceful life. And I think I was about in the third grade. And I went into the library to research witches because I'd never heard that term before. It was new to me as a young kid. And what I found was really disappointing and misleading and corrupted. So I kind of went, meh, they're all wrong. They don't know what they're talking about.
So do you have several memories of past lives, or just how far back do you think is the one that reaches maybe even before recorded time? Any experiences like that?
What I'm being told, I'm checking in with my guides, with the teams that
Great.
They said, yes, I can access it. And I have had a lot of dark lives. I've also had lives where I've done things that I wouldn't be proud of, as we all have. But what I know is that, thank you, is that when a life comes into your awareness, into your consciousness, it's for purpose. There's a reason why they're showing you this information. Now, for me, specific to the story I shared about being a witch, was because I did not feel safe. My world was not safe as a child. And so they wanted to show me that safe is an internal aspect, and I could tap into this life to feel that way. Because kids tend to polarize things: good, bad, right, wrong, yes, no, black, white.
And some adults too.
And a lot of adults. Good point, Johnny. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. We're seeing a lot of that these days.
Yeah. So it was the universe's way of saying, I know bad things have happened to you, but you are safe. We've got you.
What kind of messages have these beings given you? A medium once told me they prefer being called star beings because alien means apart, and they do not feel apart from us. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That always made sense to me. So what kind of messages do they have for us, for you or for us as a race?
So for me personally, I'm living my purpose. My purpose on this planet is to awaken individuals, raise consciousness, normalize spirituality, and empower intuition at the individual level. So everything I channel for me is in support of my living into that purpose. I've channeled workshops, several. I've channeled Soul Channel, my podcast was all 100% channeled. When I go to record a session, I check in, is this in alignment with our mission? Okay, then I move forward. Same with coming on to a podcast with somebody else like yourself. Does this align with what I am here to be and do and have? Yes, I move forward. For others, it is specific to how I can empower others to live into a more soul-connected life. So when I work one-on-one with clients, or even when I work one-on group, because I teach several classes, I go into their individual energy and I ask their souls, their teams, what most wants to be conveyed to this individual in support of their evolution. And that's what I channel. I will often pause the way I just did now and check in what wants to be known or what information is essential for Johnny's audience to hear today. And some of the things that are coming through are that everyone is intuitive, that you and your intuition, this is a natural expression of who you are, that you are powerful, you are at choice. The societal norms and constructs, which I've labeled as default living, can be deconstructed in your world, and you can step into a place of greater empowerment, sovereignty, authority, and autonomy. And in fact, when you do this, you step into a life that is greater and more beautiful and more profound than you could ever imagine, because all that your heart desires wants you back. And your guides, your teams are standing there waiting for you to receive what wants to be experienced in your life.
Okay. So that's advice for me or advice for all of us?
Everybody. Every single human on the planet.
It's kind of like an advanced way of going to a therapist, just much more focused and less guesswork, it sounds like. Do you ever get the urge to ask them questions like, do you know who's going to win the next election? Or do you just completely steer clear of that? I had to ask.
Yeah, no, it's a great. What are the lottery numbers? So first of all, I haven't watched the news since about 2000. So I don't get involved with that level of consciousness. I also have never voted. I am a Canadian who has not lived in Canada since I was about 18. So I don't have voting rights and privileges. I have also not felt aligned with the political system.
Can't blame me there.
Yeah. What I have done is when certain people were elected, I was like, what the bleep is going on? Because I don't get this. This doesn't make any sense to me.
I think we should probably sidebar this for after the recording stops.
Yeah,
but then again, I think some of the listeners might actually like this. So
here's what's more essential to me. Okay. And what wants to be communicated? Can we go into channel? You want to do it?
I think we're at that point in the episode where we're definitely going to do that. So go ahead. Sure.
Okay. I'll go into channel and let's talk about the future. Let's talk about 2024 going forward.
That sounds good.
We thank you for your audience. We're at a time when things are shifting, redefining, and reconstructing. It is an essential period for human development and evolution, and it is catalyzed by the human experience. There are so many of you that we are now infusing the energy of the planet with greater possibility and less dualistic thinking, believing, and experiencing. The systems will realign. In 2024, we will watch as more and more people come onto the higher planes of consciousness, and that will certainly influence the outcome of upcoming elections. It will also influence how things evolve not only in the United States, but across our world. For us to facilitate a systemic breakdown does not serve the planet. What serves the planet at this time is a realignment, and that comes from the raising consciousness. A systemic breakdown would negatively impact the planet. The solution is not found in the systems that exist today. The solutions are found in the higher consciousness And intuitively, when you, and we say you being all who listen and feel and hear into this transmission, when you move into greater self-empowerment, then you walk in your grocery stores, into your streets and your bars, and you radiate this new level of being. Those who encounter you, even in passing, will receive the opportunity to raise their consciousness, and it may not make sense to them. It is this collective raise of consciousness that will influence how our systems evolve. We will begin to watch as individuals have impact on decisions, on policies, on how humans are treated. We will watch as pressure builds from the masses and corporate control begins to dissolve. And this disillusionment of who we are as a society will become veiled, will loosen the veil and become clearer. We will see what is available to us by letting go of the normal constructs in place. There are two imperatives for humans at this time. First and foremost, self-evolve. Become the greatest expression of yourself. And second is to take it into the world. Come from love, come from peace, come from equanimity. This does not mean that you will not experience fear, anger, frustration, bewilderment. They too have their place on this planet. If we did not have these emotions, the full spectrum of emotions, we would not learn. We would not grow. Emotions are not good or bad. They are simply a signpost pointing you in a direction. It is with your intuition and discernment that you gain clarity to determine what the message is. When we do that at the individual level, as we have stated, it influences what wants to be done at the collective level. There is clearing up to do, and it is being done. Are there any points for clarification before we move back into the background?
It sounds like at the end of 2024 that most people will be happy. That's what I'm getting from it.
If they choose to be happy, they will be happy.
I'll stop short of asking you who's going to win the election, but I think I have a pretty good idea.
We believe you do. They're still there, but they're in the background. Instead of being right here, they're about right here.
I was going to ask, who are they, if that's appropriate? Like what race they are, if they are race. For all I know, they're light beings and they're not even physical.
So they are known as the 99, and they are a collection of, to use your term, star beings from Sirius, Palladian, Angelic, pretty much everywhere. And the reason they came together is to bring that shared kind of specialty. So it allows me to access information within each of the different streams of consciousness and specialties.
Would that be like a group consciousness?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That message was pretty illuminating, to say the very least. A couple things I got from it is frequencies. Frequency and light and the vibration is rising, which we hear a lot of people talking about these days. Ascension, moving from the third dimension to the fifth dimension, and etc. Also, emotions are not good or bad. They are just a message, which is consistent with what Edgar Cayce used to say, among others. There is no good or bad experience. It's just experience that we need to learn. It sounds pretty consistent with that.
Yeah, 100%. We tend to black, white, polarize emotions, good, bad, but they're all good. They're all just information about things that want to be known that we're not seeing clearly ourselves. I want to briefly speak to the third, fifth dimension ascension that's occurring. We're not going anywhere. There's no spaceship. There's no other planet. There's no place that we're going to go. The fifth dimension can be embodied today. And it's a state of being. So many people ask questions about this. And it is that aligned place. And I believe, and it's been supported by what I've channeled, that using your intuition, trusting yourself, creating clarity within, all of these things are ingredients for holding that fifth dimensional energy.
So some people are living 5D now.
Agreed.
Right. The reason I brought that up and a question about past lives is that I've had people come on to the podcast who have memories going back to ancient civilizations like Atlantis and Lemuria, which is supposed to be even older. And they basically talk about a culture where telepathy was normal. Everybody did it. Mm-hmm. And the consciousness was at a much higher level than it is today. That brings up another question about raising consciousness. Is this indeed an example of moving out of one age to the other, which I think is the Piscean age, into the Aquarian age, or is that something different?
Astrology isn't my jam. It's not my area of expertise. But what I will say is that it does influence the energies on the planet. It can't help but, because we're all one system, right? We're all part of the same energy system. So yeah, I do believe it has an influence. And I think we'll see residual influence from the Piscean age through 2024, diminishing dramatically starting in June. And then the Aquarian, which is in place, will take firm control moving into Q3, Q4, but absolutely 2025.
25.
It's going to be anchored. Yeah.
Which someone else told me the same thing, that we're going to see that in 2025. And I thought, okay, that's something to look forward to. Anything else we need to know about this, or might that be a reason for a part 2?
Yeah, let me contextualize your last statement and give you another perspective that I think is really important to hold on. The world is in a place where the systems that no longer serve us as a collective are starting to rebel because they're being broken down. They're no longer accepted. I coached a woman, parent, who when Ukraine and Russia went to war, her parents are Ukrainian. They were in Ukraine, and she was freaked. I mean, as she should be. She says, what do I do? And our greatest contribution to planetary evolution is to hold love and peace. Hold the outcome of what you want to see, and don't feed into the morphogenic fields that created the conditions that are in existence today.
It's not really a complicated concept, but it's a lot to ask for everybody.
It's a lot to ask.
To hold love and to visualize what you really want to see. Some people get it, but a lot of people think it's not so much silly, but maybe a display of weakness. Classic example of confusing strength with weakness when they really got it backwards. So I think love is strength. All right. Excellent. So Teresa, thanks for coming on to the show. Great stuff. I'm sure a lot of people are going to listen to this and watch it when the video comes out. In the meantime, how can they find you online?
TeresaWarnstaff.com, Teresa, Wornstaff spelled the way it sounds. On Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, on YouTube. Check out Soul Channel. It's a great little podcast with shared wisdom.
I'll put that link in the show notes and the transcript as well. You've been listening to Closer to Venus. I'm Johnny Burke. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing. For more information, you can go to closertovenus.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.